Okay, brother Wolldog, let me try to explain how to make a GIF, and I'll try to make it as simple as possible while at the same time covering as much as possible. And let's see, I'm going to use this video, which is the best bit from Napoleon Dynamite. And I grabbed this file, and you can't see down here, but I'm dragging it to my After Effects program and drop it into what's called the project box. I think that's what it's called. That's what I call it anyway. This is where your project files are going to be. And there's the file. Now, what we want to do is left click this and drag it down to this icon, and that will create a composition with that video file. And I got to find the certain segment that I want now. And we'll start right about there. And you can zoom in clicking this button right here to get to the exact frame. So that is the exact frame. And I'm going to zoom out. And what I'm going to do here is drag this, geez, I forgot what it's called. And you hold shift and it will snap to it. And then I'm going to play it, and I'm going to take the sound off so you don't hear the sound. I'm going to play it until right about here. And we take this other one and, oops, shift drag to that line. And this is the segment we're going to be working with. That's how to crop out a video, or that's one way. But what you have to do now is go to Composition and Trim Comp to Work Area. Okay, so now we're working with, I don't even know how many frames, maybe a couple seconds. Let's go ahead and play this. So that's it. That's all we're going to do. And the reason I chose this one is because, you know, it's pretty simple, and I don't want to do anything difficult to show you how to do it. But one of the most important things is that his hand goes across his face. So I'm going to show you how to take care of that. See the hand? These masking this out is, I don't want to say hard. Sometimes it's hard, but it's a pain in the ass. And let's see, which Frank Mir did I pick? I picked a Frank Mir. Oh, I guess he's gone. Oh boy. Let's go up to here to my stuff and search for Mir PNG. And scroll down and see which one I wanted. Let me show you what I'm looking for. First of all, if you look from here, I don't know if you know perspective or not. If you see the top of someone's head, two things is happening. It's either being shot from above or the person is looking down. So this person is looking down, and you can tell because now he's level and you don't really see the top of his head. But then here he lifts up and you can see under his chin, so it's a little tricky. I kind of got to find a one-size-fits-all mer head. And this one, yeah, that one will work. This isn't the one I picked before, but anyway, same thing. Left click, drag them down to the After Effects icon in your taskbar, and drop them into your project box. Now we have him here, and if you want to, you can rename this. You can rename it, instead of one Mir, we're just going to call him Mir. And we drag him on top of the video layer. This is an MP4. And as you see, Frank is a lot bigger, so you have these handles, just like in Photoshop. These handles can resize him, and if you hold shift it will maintain proportion. So I just eyeballed it, and that doesn't really look that good, but we'll go with it. It's not the best. I could have chosen a better head. Let's rotate him some. In order to rotate, there's a few ways to do it, but the easiest way is to click this arrow, go to your transform, and then rotate him there. Now, another thing you can do is, let's just say you wanted, right now he's rotated 7 degrees. Let's say you wanted 7.1. You can do that too. You can type in a number. And I'm going to zoom in. And zooming in can be done a few ways. You can go view, zoom in, or zoom out. Um, I guess these are keyboard shortcuts. I never use these. That looks like a comma and a period. I use Control plus and minus, just like in Photoshop. That's Control minus, Control plus. Or I generally will use my mid mouse wheel. So let's zoom in and make sure he's kind of dialed in, because I think I see some of the guy's head back here. All right, that looks pretty good. And I'm not going to color correct him or anything, because I don't want to take a lot of time. But if you would like to, what I would do is get a frame grab from the video and bring Mur into Photoshop, and I would color correct him into Photoshop. You can do it in After Effects. I do it a lot in After Effects. Make sure you're clicked on Mur, go to Effect, Color Correction, and there's a lot of stuff here. Brightness, contrast, color balance, curves, exposure, levels, photo filters. I mean, maybe just putting a photo filter on will help. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of guessing. Let's go for a, I don't know, what is that, green? I don't know if that even did anything, but whatever. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to track the movement of his head, and we're going to apply it to Frank Mur. So we're going to have the After Effects follow this guy's head, and we're going to apply that tracking to Mur. In order to do that, you have to do it, it's kind of weird. You go to Layer, New, Null Object. Now you can also rename this if you would like to. I kind of tend to. I maybe name it Mur Null Object, so I know it's assigned to this one. Okay, anyway, let's get back to tracking. You want to click on the Napoleon Dynamite layer, and now we're starting to get into it, man. Now you're going to start learning. Go to Animation, and what's it called? Track and I'm sorry, brain fart. Track and Boris Effects Mocha. Ooh, scary. Brings up this stuff up here, and you want to click on Mocha. And maybe sometimes some stuff will pop up, maybe sometimes it won't. You just close it. They'll say thank you for using Mocha. Anyway, we're going to track him through all of these frames. And in order to do that, you have to assign these splines. Now, you can do these in a lot of different ways. Why aren't they working? There we go. You can just maybe make a square around him or whatever. I'm just going to try something different. Oops. Let's start over. Okay, let's start over. I'm going to just do from the square of his glasses to the square of his mouth, side of his mouth, that, and I'm going to right click. I'm just going to track that little part because I think that will be pretty accurate. If I track his full head, when his arm comes across his head, it may mess up the tracking, so I'm just going to do part of his face. This is a pretty odd pattern to select, but this is the one I'm going with. Okay, now you have Mocha set up. It's going to be tracking this area, and it's going to be watching this area, and when it sees it move, it's going to move along with it, hopefully. Anyway, click this, and this is your tracking button. We're tracking forward. We're starting at the beginning. We're tracking forward, and this is the do or die. This is a do or die right here. Either it's going to work, or it's not going to work, or it's going to work half-assed, but let's pray. And as you see, it is following. It is following pretty good, not perfect. But let's go back and make some adjustments. Grab this timeline and kind of watch. Watch when it gets off this area or this area. And we're going to make some adjustments. There we go. See, it's getting off a little. We'll make an adjustment here. And you see it puts a keyframe here. And let's just keep going from here. Wow, that looks pretty good. Maybe a little off here. You don't have to get this absolutely perfect, but I guess the more you do this, the better. And let's finish this up. And that looks really good. Man, that worked. That worked nice. Okay, now we have all the tracking done. What we do is, there's quite a few ways to do this. If I close Mocha, it's going to say, do you want to save it? And you say yes. You can save it by clicking this button right here. And watch when I click it. Something is going to say something up here. I forgot what it says. I don't know if you saw it. Ready? Go. I'll do it a bunch of times. Auto saving project. Or you can just go File, Save Project. That's all the same thing. Okay, so we're saving that tracking data. And right about now, I would actually save this project if it was me, because now I got some good tracking data and I don't want the power to go out or my computer to crash. So let's save this as test tutorial. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, so now we got our good tracking data and we have our null object. All the data is in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to assign it to this null object, okay? So make sure you're clicked on the MP4. This is all so freaking weird, man. I know it. I know how to do it good, but it's hard to explain. It's easy to explain, but it's hard to make sense. So we go to the tracking data and we click this. This is the first thing. There's 4 buttons we got to press. Create tracking data, and 99.99 times you're just going to say okay. We're going to export it using transform. Almost always you're going to use transform, okay? I remember doing corner pin a couple times, but almost always you're going to do transform. And we're going to export this data to the null object. So layer to export to is null. And then you click apply export. Now before I click apply, let's open up the null object and show the transformation data. It's empty. It's empty. There's no transformation data. But once I click apply, it all appears there. Now this is the data from the tracking. This shows, I don't know if you can see these things here, it shows the movement of the head. Okay, so let's go over that one more time. First you go create tracking data, okay, export option, transform, layer to export to is the null object, and apply. Okay, let's turn MERS layer on, and this is the key, another key right here. You take this is called, I can never pronounce this, pick whip. Okay, I did it. Take this pick whip, left click, drag it to there, and what that does is it assigns this tracking data to MER. Now, if everything worked out, it's going to look good. Spacebar to play. This is the moment. Looks good. Well, looks fair. Looks fair. But we can make adjustments. We can make adjustments. What we want to do, I don't know if you see right here, he's kind of off. He's not really centered. And right here, he's too high. Right here, he's too far to the left. But that's okay. We're going to have to make just a few adjustments. And I just zoomed in so I could see better. We're going to make keyframes here. And then we're going to find when it starts getting off weird. Right about there. I'm using my arrow keys to arrow him back over. And you see that makes another keyframe right here. And he gets really weird here. So let's do this. Let's make all of these, which is opacity, rotation, scale, and anchor. And we're going to do a rotation here. The reason we made this here is because I'm going to make another rotation. Like so. And since I made it a rotation here, that rotation will start from here. If I didn't make this here, it would start from here. God, I hope this makes sense. So there we go. You could probably bring him over a little bit right here. You could dial this in. You can get in there and dial it frame by frame. And here, let me bring him down a little. Oh, gotta bring him down a lot. You can move him like that and see where the guy's head is. Or you can line him up by the collar. I do that a lot too. Make sure that his head is like, let's just say the center of the collar. And in the center of the collar, like that. That's a good way to line it up. Just make sure the head isn't showing. Bring him down a little bit. And his head is rising there, so let's kind of leave it coming up a little right there. But now it angles. So let's make some keyframes here. I'm scrubbing all of these to make keyframes. And I'm going to bring them down just a tad. And rotate them a little. Jeez, this is probably sounding really complex. I'm trying to make it easy, bro. This is weird stuff. And there we go. There we go. Bring them to the right a little bit. Let's see how that looks. You can have a view up here. You can go view, fit, or you can view 100%, or you can zoom in and out with your mouse button. A lot of the times I'll just go view, fit, so that it's all in there. Okay, there we go. We got some pretty good tracking. I mean, it's not perfect, but I'm going to leave it like that for now. Now, the problem, as you can see, is this guy's arm is going over Mur's head, but it's not going over Mur's head because we have to mask it. And that's a whole nother story. What I like to do, there's many ways to do it, but what I like to do is make a duplicate of the MP4 file. And as far as MP4 files, I tend to try to find the highest resolution I can. Normally I'll work in 720p, sometimes 1020p. I rarely work above that because I'm not outputting to video, I'm outputting to GIF. But if you want to work in 4K, that's fine. It'll be more taxing on your computer. Okay, let's see. So from about there, we got to start right about there. Now we have a duplicate of this. I'm going to bring it on top. Okay, and we're going to start our mask. What we have to do is trace out the arm, all of these frames. And this all is going to seem weird, but I'm showing you the most vital parts of this program, which is tracking and masking. And a lot of your work is going to be that, tracking and masking and wiggling stuff around. Okay, now in order to mask, this gets even weirder. We go to Layer, New, Solid Layer. Now it doesn't matter what color it is. It doesn't matter because we're going to turn it off actually. But if you did want to change it, sometimes I use solid colors for effects and stuff. You could change it here to whatever color you want, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes I'll even make it a little bigger. That doesn't really matter either, the size. I mean, unless you want to make it like too big, but whatever. Press OK. So now we have this this red solid object. We're going to turn it off. And this is where the fun begins. This is our pen tool. What we want to do is trace around this hand. We're going to be doing it for all of those frames right about there. Let's turn this off. Yeah, we're going to start right about there. And this is a little tricky. If you say you're well versed in Photoshop, then you know the pen tool. Click there, there. I'm just going to do this really rough. That's just a general pattern that I use. As you see, his hand is kind of a fist. He doesn't really have his fingers up. So I'm just going to use this general pattern right there. And to round this off, you press Alt and pull. Okay, now I got that rounded off. Alt and pull. And we can round this off a little bit, smooth it out. And This one probably doesn't need to be rounded off at all. And these won't matter. Anyway, this is the beginning of our mask. Okay, we're just going to trace it through those 10 frames. We're going to also make keyframes for the mask. And click to make a keyframe for your mask. Click this arrow. Go to your mask. Our mask is yellow. If you want your mask a different color, you can click. I tend to work in fuchsia a lot, and I tend to work in this color a lot. I think this will be a good color. Yeah, that looks okay. We're going to make keyframes here. All of our keyframes. And we're going to add a feather. I'm going to start with 4 pixel feather. That's just a wild ass guess from experience that will be good. Now we go back a frame. Double click on it. That gives you handles, and we're going to whip it off screen. We don't need it there. We need it there. And now we have to go here. You can double click these, rotate it, bring it up here. I'm pressing enter. Select like that, and you can wiggle these things around. Lots of wiggling. Go to the next frame. Same thing. Same thing. This is where it gets tedious. Oh, that's not even... Oh, good, good, good. We got a double frame. I mean, it's not good, but I'll show you. That's good that we have it so I can show you what to do. You see how this frame and this frame are the same? Click on this, Control C for copy, or you can go edit copy. Bring this line over here, Control V or edit paste. And now it pastes that data there. That's pretty cool. It's a cool trick. And here we go. I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm going to try to move a little faster. Now, here we have a little more curve in his arm. And this doesn't have to be perfect either. I mean, if you're off a little, that's fine. If you want to be perfect, go ahead and do it perfect. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Drag that up there. And you'll see I'm not tracing around the fingers or I mean you could, but it's really in the long run it's not going to make a difference for a GIF. If you were doing movie editing where this was on a large screen, you might want to trace around these fingers, but we're not going to do that. Another one. Another one. We'll bring that over a little bit. We may have to increase the feather a little bit later on, but we'll see how it looks. And look, there's another duplicate frame. That happens a lot with movies because movies are shot in 24 frames per second. They convert them to 25, they convert them to 30, and you get duplicate frames. So we do the same thing. Click on this keyframe, Control C, Control V. And you see the arm, we have to move the arm a little bit, we have to move this one a little bit. Fun stuff, huh? Welcome to GIF making. Double click. And, you know, I'm not going to worry too much about down here because Frank's head is going to be up here. So I'm not worrying too much about down here. Bar keyframes. This is what we do, man. A lot of manual work. Again, we have a duplicate frame. See? 1, 2. Wait. 1, 2. Duplicate. Control C, Control V. This is selected. Oops, that's a weird turn. This is GIF making right here. This is why a lot of people don't do it, because it takes time, it takes patience. It takes what's the word? determination, another duplicate, Control C, Control V. Now here we go. We have a good movement here where he's coming up. See, his arm is moving up. See, it comes up and then it starts moving down. So we're going to try something here. Maybe we'll get lucky. It goes up. We're going to skip some frames. And maybe we could have done this earlier too. We're going to skip some frames, and what it will do is it will tween those frames, and maybe we'll get lucky. Look, we're getting lucky. Okay, here we go. Let's make a keyframe here. Control C, since this one's a duplicate right here. Control V, and we were able to skip 1, 2, 3 frames. Yeah. And when it comes down like this, maybe we can skip some frames too. Double click. Let's see. Maybe we can't. Nope, we can't. Let's bring this out some. Honestly, you're probably thinking, geez, this is a lot of work, but I'm giving you some good information, brah. You know, you'd be looking at this program going, what do I do? How do I do it? Oops. Control C, Control V. There we go. This program looks like Klingon. It doesn't look like English. Now let's see. Yep, there we go. We're good. We're good. Okay. Now we have this mask on this solid. What we have to do is take the top Napoleon Dynamite layer and turn it into an alpha. God, that makes no sense. Turn it into an alpha matte. There we go. All right. Just trust me. Turn it into an alpha matte. Now that we have that, this has to be on top. Okay, because this is using the mask. This layer of Napoleon is using the mask, so it'll only show that. So when we go over Myrrh, you see? Oh, was that it? Oh, wait, no, here we go. Here we go. This is all that work we did for like a few frames. Boom. Goes over his head. And honestly, we need to do something about Myrrh. We need to do something. He looks terrible. I can't make him look that terrible. I'm going to get rid of this silly photo filter. I'm just going to do some rudimentary color correction because I'm totally dissatisfied. I'm not saying this is the best way to do it, but this is how I do it. We go to another layer and we create a adjustment layer. I'm going to go to Effects, Color Correction, Hue Saturation, and turn the saturation down. The reason I'm doing that is because when you're doing color and light correction, he looks like he might be, it's hard to tell how bright he is in color. And when you put him in black and white, you can see that he is a lot lighter than this skin, than the guy's skin. So I'm just going to go to Myrrh, and I'm going to go to Effect, Color Correction, do a quick curve. It's going to be a sloppy one. I'm just going to bring him down. Oops, wait. I'm on the Myrrh null object. Okay, that's fine, you know. If I make mistakes, you're going to make mistakes. So I'm not embarrassed about these. When I first started doing tutorials and I made mistakes, I would start over. But if that happens, all you do is click on the curves up here and press delete. There's other things you can do that I don't want to get into. So we'll go to the actual Myrrh PNG, go to Effects, Color Correction, Curves, and let's just bring down the brightness and let's see what happens. Does that look right? A little too much contrast. Let me get rid of the whites a little more. So hard to tell. I'm just going to leave it at that. And I'm going to do just a quick hue sat on him. I'm not going to do anything fancy. Effect, color correction, hue sat. We'll go to the red channel. And geez, what do I got to do? Add magenta. And Take off saturation. That doesn't look bad, man. That was pretty good. Maybe we can make him a little darker. Yeah, that looks good, but I don't want to go too dark. But anyway, that was just some quick color correction. And looks a lot better, bro. There we go. That looks good. We did it. I thought this was going to be a 10 or 15-minute tutorial. I don't even know how long it is. I can't see my timer. But let's recap. Let's recap what we did. We brought in the Napoleon Dynamite. Okay, when you want to get back to your geez, can't remember the name of it. Your files, these files, you click. I messed up. There was an X. You click to get back to these. But we drag and dropped to there to create the new composition. We took this and we tracked it in Mocha. Remember we tracked it in Mocha? And we did all this stuff. Tracked it in Mocha. Saved it. Don't save. We applied that tracking to the null object. And the reason we applied it to the null object and not mir was because it gives us more freedom to move mir around. If we applied that tracking data to mir, you'll just have to trust me, man. It's the best way to do it. Apply it to the null, and pick whip mir to the null. And then we put another video layer on top. We created masks. Oh, one thing we did wrong. The end. See, the end, you should always whip it off the screen. There we go. So now we created a mask to go over mir's face. See? And remember what I said? That even though it was kind of sloppy, it'll look fine. You know, once you're playing a GIF and it looks this big on the form, oh, now my color correction looks worse. What did I do? I'm not going to worry about it. It looked good for a second. Maybe my eyes are getting tired. And then we took that, and that's it. Oh, we made a mistake. Well, I made a mistake. File save. Should always be saving. Save every few minutes. Now, at the end, what do you do? How do you output this? Well, you go File, Export, Add to Render Queue. Now here you can select your output codec. This is right now it's set to lossless AVI. You probably don't want that because it's pretty big. I will almost exclusively use Move QuickTime. There is DivX in here somewhere, but I don't know, for some reason I've never had good results with it. Sometimes it crashes, sometimes it just doesn't work. So I just use Move QuickTime. And you know, format options and quality, I never really mess with that because when I output this to video, I make my GIF and I generally delete it anyway. So I don't even mess with these settings. You can get into it. You can use other codecs as you want. Let me. If you want to save. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So I just set it on QuickTime, and that's it. That's it. Audio output. You can put audio output on or off. I wouldn't worry about that. So now we set that to QuickTime, and we're going to save this as Mir Napoleon Dynamite tutorial, and we're not going to save it to Tyron Woodley. We're going to save it to Mir. Save, and now you have it all set up. You press render, and cover your ears. There may be a loud sound. This is not going to take very long. You should see a line going across. Maybe you won't even see it. Maybe it'll be that fast. There it goes. Okay, and now we're done. Now we have your move file. I hope you know how to import a move into Photoshop, turn it into a GIF. If you don't, let me know. Anyway, I have no idea how long this is. Here's my timer. 34 minutes. Oh, that's not bad. It felt like an hour. Um, I'm done. I hope you learn. I gave you a lot of information. Trust me, these are the fundamentals. Go over this tutorial as many times as you need to learn the techniques that I gave you, because this is how it's done. I mean, there's other ways to mask using channel masking and green screen. You can do green screen. You know, here, if we had a green screen, you would go effect, matte. I'm sorry, keying, and key light 2, 1.2, and you take this eyedropper and you click, and that removes green screen or blue screen. You know, if it's on a blue background. Let's see what other ways there are to mask. There's what's called a roto tool. Oh God, that thing's a terror. Um, I don't want to get into the roto tool. I'm just going to give you the basics, and I'm going to be done. And I hope you learned something.